Hi. This is a recording, not a stream. I was having issues with OBS earlier, and it was not want to cooperate. I think I got it fixed now. Hopefully, we'll find out for sure. Anyways, I'm just gonna give a quick little update. Where have I been? Where have I been? What happened? Why didn't you stream for the last 2 weeks and you were just gone? Well, I'll just give a very abridged, short version of this. Long and short of it, I streamed on, I think it was the 11th, right? It was a Wednesday, and I was intending to stream for the rest of the week like I normally do. Well, my dad, long and short of it, my dad was sick. He got sick, and at first it was just okay. He's just sick. He's throwing up a little bit. Okay, that sucks. Getting some fluids, getting some cold medicine, getting some stuff. Hopefully, settle his stomach. Towards the end of that stream, he was not feeling well, so I was like, okay, let's cut the stream. Not early, but I cut it. I decided not to go any longer than I normally did because I was gonna be like, okay, let's check out on him. Check him out. Words, fuck it. Check up on him. That's what I was trying to say. Words mean nothing anymore, I guess. Anyways, I'll preface this ahead of time. He's okay. Everyone's okay. My dad's okay. I'm okay. Family's okay. Everything's fine now. It wasn't a few weeks ago. So, long and the short of it, that day when my dad was not feeling well, he didn't get sleep that night. And the next day, he was not doing well at all. Clammy skin, pale, cold to the touch. Was having trouble breathing, throwing up. He couldn't keep his meds down. Blood sugar. He's a diabetic, and his blood sugar was over 300. He wasn't doing so hot. It was at the point where, after attempting a few things and then resorting to go, okay, we're going to take you to the hospital, it took a little bit to get him out of the house. And it was at the point where I was like, Dad, if I can't get you out of the house, I'm calling the ambulance. Like, that's the option here. Unfortunately, like I said, my dad got sick a little bit earlier when he had a sore throat that led to the sickness, but also led to some other underlying problems he didn't realize. So we get to the hospital. My sister-in-law meets me there. And again, I'm not giving every little detail, but I'm just talking about some things. And again, everything is okay now, to be clear. And then we arrive, and the last thing you want to have happen when you go to the ER happens. The receptionist looks at you and looks at the other people in the waiting room and immediately goes, "Nurse, grab this guy." And immediately a nurse comes in and sees my dad and immediately grabs him and gets with another nurse. And they start talking to my father, and it becomes abundantly clear they're not actually talking to him to find out what's going on. They're talking to him to kind of like see how he's doing, but also keep him talking. And they were asking me and my sister-in-law, hey, how's he feeling? Like, is he sick? What's his symptoms? Yada, yada. A doctor immediately comes in and immediately pegs that, okay, my dad, he had pneumonia. He started developing pneumonia the past couple days ahead of time, apparently. And this led to sepsis. If you don't know what sepsis is, it's essentially, to give a very, I am not a medical professional by any means. My dad, what sepsis essentially does is that your immune system, the response it does to a sickness or disease or whatever have you, the response it gives, it overreacts, and then the antibodies it creates, the very thing it's trying to do to save you is killing you. And it is a very bad thing to go through. If you do not get medical attention when you have sepsis, most people unfortunately die. It's a very bad thing to go through. If you do get medical attention, it's a treatable thing. It's something that can be taken care of, but the sooner the better. Get to the ER, and again, the last thing you want to have happen when you're in the ER with someone is they become priority number one. Everything, like the nurses, if they weren't actively dealing with someone, they were on my father. He had at least 1 to 2 people with him at all times. They were running a bunch of tests. They were giving him a bunch of antibiotics. We gave him a full list of all the meds he takes. He wasn't allergic to anything, so they were giving him so much stuff. His heart rate was about half of what it should be. I don't know the exact numbers. I'm not a medical professional, and I really should learn this a little better, but You know, a normal heart rate is like 120. On the high end, it's 140. On the low end, it's 100. You should be in around that range. When you exercise and stuff, it gets up to like 180 or so. You know, if you're really out of shape or if you're really exerting yourself, it can get past 200 sometimes, but it shouldn't stay that. And this is why like most athletes can maintain like, you know, 160, 180, right? Well, my dad got to the hospital and he had a heart rate of about 50. And again, he's throwing up nothing. He's dry heaving. He's nauseous all the time. And again, he's clammy skin. I mean, he was still somewhat coherent when he got to the hospital, but he was starting to lose some of that coherence. Sister-in-law calls my brother, and he grabs one of my other brothers. People don't know I have 4 other brothers. A whole bunch of sister-in-laws and a couple other family members. I got, you know, not the largest family, but I got a big family. But anyways, so they arrive shortly after because we don't know what's going on, and it's looking bad. And long and short of it, after a number of tests, a number of things they try to do, the doc comes in and says, we're taking you to the ICU. You're going to the ICU. You're very sick. And this is also when one of the nurses tells us straight up, look, if you didn't come in when you did, because I took him in a little past noon on Thursday. They said if he tried to tough it out through the night, he would have died. Straight up. They said, yeah, you would not have made it through the night. And in fact, there's also the bit of a discussion. They said that, yeah, if you didn't take him in when you did, it could have went in a very different direction only a few hours later. Anyways, so dad just the ICU, and then his numbers start to plummet, and it starts to get really bad. It gets to the point where they ask us to leave the ICU room while they have to perform an emergency surgery of some kind. I can't remember exactly what it is. They had to put like a tube in his neck. They call it a plant. It's like a 6 or 7 inch tube they had to shove down into his chest. And at that point in time, my dad's heart rate had dropped below 30. I saw on the monitor it was 26. And there was about a 10-minute period there where I did not know where things are going to go. Thankfully, doctor comes back in and tells me and the rest of my family that are in the waiting room, your dad's maintaining. Your dad's numbers are about as well as they were when he arrived in the ER. He's very sick. He's not out of the woods yet, though, but he is doing better, and we're hopeful for how things are going. But he's not. They reiterated he's very sick and he's not out of the woods yet. So that was a small sigh of relief. At that point, I've already called some family, called some other friends of the family, some other people to let them know, hey, we don't know how things are going. And then fast forward to the night, my dad's heart rate is climbing slowly but surely. They reiterate to us that, hey, he's in the ICU, things can change, but they're very positive about his outlook. And then we stayed like 2.5 hours past the visitation period for the ICU. I mean, they were very relaxed about it because they understood, like, hey, you know, if you're worried, you're worried. I didn't get a lot of sleep that previous night, that night until about 5 a.m. when I get a text from my own father telling me, hey, he's doing okay. He's watching like the Star Wars marathon that FX put on the hospital TV. And, you know, there's some other things they were doing for him, but they, for the most part, it was like, okay, he's doing okay. I was able to get I got a couple hours sleep then. Fast forward to when I arrived to the ICU again, my dad's numbers are not quite back to 100, but they're getting close. And, you know, at that point in time, like, they were already starting to take him off some of the heart meds or like wean him off them. And it started like they were wanting to make sure that like he can maintain, you know, his own body himself. But at that point in time, they were already starting like wean him off the heart medication, wean him off the oxygen. Excuse me. Wean him off everything else. And then my dad spent another night in the ICU. And then at that point in time, it was a sigh of relief because, okay, he's doing okay. You know, the antibiotics they gave him, the medicine they gave him was working, was doing his job. The oxygen he was getting was doing his job. Heart medication they were giving him was doing his job. Everyone in the ICU and the ER, you know, nurses and docs, they did their jobs. And my dad spent a couple more days in the hospital in the recovery ward. And then he finally came home the following Tuesday night. So yeah, that week I didn't stream because I spent legitimately I think like 16 plus hours at the hospital every day. I arrived there like a little past visitation hours, which was like a little past 8, so around 9, and I didn't leave until a little past 8. So, and the only time I left the hospital was to go get something to eat. So yeah, I spent about 5 days at the hospital, giving my dad company and, you know, talking with family and stuff. So yeah, obviously I wasn't streaming those days. Yeah, he's fine now. He was working on his garden earlier. He's doing some other stuff. Now, for the second week that I was gone, you might be thinking, okay, well, that explains the first week. Honestly, the second week, I could have came back. I could have started streaming again. My dad even encouraged me, hey, you should go and start streaming again on Wednesday. And I just thought, I just want a week where I don't worry about jack shit. I just want to plop down, relax, not worry about anything. Not thinking about anything. And it was also that the Wednesday, anyways, like even on top of that, like Wednesday I slept in because I caught up on sleep because that whole week I barely got any sleep. So, anyways, that's why I didn't stream for the past 2 weeks. Is unfortunately, there was a big family medical emergency that, to put this in perspective for maybe if I'm not selling it that well, and I don't want to embellish this or anything, but like on the clock to midnight, 1 o'clock being you're alive and 10 o'clock being midnight being dead. My dad was about a little past 10 at one point. So there would be a very good chance that this little update video I'm doing could have went a very different direction. I'll be honest. But yeah, like I said, I'm okay. That's okay. I intended to stream today, but I had some issues on the OBS front. Turns out there was an update. Yeah, goddamn mosquito. Turns out I think there was an update either with OBS or a driver or something. To be honest, I tried to diagnose the problem. I couldn't figure out what the fuck the problem was. I eventually just said, screw it, I just reinstalled everything. I spent a number of hours reinstalling a whole bunch of stuff, and hopefully that corrected the problem. I think it will. I mean, just simply doing a recording is fine, and after I do this, I'm going to do a very short stream of me just playing some multiplayer stuff, just dicking around. And hopefully that will fix everything. Hopefully I'll be able to see if that, you know, the problem still persists. Other two things of note is thing number one is I shaved my beard. Hence why, you know, no beard. To be honest, I just got tired of dealing with it. Next year, my intention next year is I'm going to, in the beginning of January, the first week of January, I'm going to get a haircut where I get my hair cut really short. I'm going to shave my beard, go completely clean shaven. And my goal next year is to go until December without having to shave or cut my hair. And I just want to see how long I get. And we'll go from there. But I think for the rest of this year, I think I'm just going to do the thing I normally do where I let it grow out and get to a nice amount of stubble, then I'll shave it again. And then, you know, just maintain the haircuts and stuff for the rest of this year. Other plan with that is I need to properly comb and maintain the beard. The other thing of note, oh, sorry. I thought that was that there was something going wrong on my end, but nothing to worry about. The other thing that is note is I mentioned the Star Wars marathon my dad was watching. I don't know what the fuck it was, but I don't believe this was on FX's end, but like in the hospital, there was the weirdest version of Star Wars that me and my brothers and my dad had seen. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I've seen those movies quite a few times, even the particular one I didn't enjoy that most, which is Last Jedi, and still rewatched it a number of times because there's stuff I do like about it. Thing about it is that when we were watching that Star Wars marathon, for reference, my brother sat down and he was like partway, like he was in the, like they were like in the middle of the Battle of Hoth, and then when I arrived, like less than an hour later, they were discussing how they were going to tackle Endor, which in other words, they went from episode 5 to 6 in less than an hour. And then like when I arrived, they were having the meeting to like, you know, okay, we're going to discuss like how we're going to take down Death Star 2 and everything, and that's like when Luke shows up again. Only for them to cut to commercial, and when they came back, it was literally when Luke and Han and Chewie, like when Han and Luke had to like try and discourage Chewie from messing with the bait before they get caught by Ewoks. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? We skipped the whole speeder chase. We skipped the whole Ewok bit with Leia and everything. Like, what the hell? It was like a weird abridged version of Star Wars that was cutting out a lot of it. And I think it was like on a hospital end. We don't know what it was, but it was a weird version. But yeah. I meant to try and keep this as short as I could. I rambled a little bit. That's on me, but that's a quick little update. I'm okay. I'm doing fine. I intend to get back into streaming. Actually tonight, when I get done recording this, I'm gonna do a short stream, and then tomorrow we'll get back into the normal content and everything. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Don't you worry. And I'm gonna be more active on like social media and posting other like short form content and stuff, so that way it's easier to figure out where the hell I ran off to. Because I understand that just disappearing on the face of the earth isn't the most ideal thing in the world. But anyways, thank you for your patience, thank you for your well wishes, and until next time, see ya.